Hi, welcome to Metro Holistic. I'm Mary Mucci. You know, many of the plants we've been taught are pesky weeds are actually wild edible foods and medicinal herbs, and they're growing right now in our own backyards. We'll take a walk with naturalist Steve Brill and find out which plants are ripe for picking. And now I'd like you to meet naturalist wildman Steve Brill. Many years ago, he made headlines as the man who ate Manhattan. His career took off after he was arrested for encouraging his students to pick and eat wild foods from Central Park. Steve ended up being hired by the New York City Parks Commission, and so the so-called wild man became a New York treasure. Take a walk in any park with the wild man and you'll find there are hundreds of tasty wild vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds growing all around you. Steve is the author of Identifying and Harvesting Edible and Medicinal Plants in Wild and Not So Wild Places. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
Tell me, what are the most common wild edible foods found in most people's backyards?
Well, there are mulberries at this time of year falling from the trees, making a big mess, and those are delicious.
Yes, I love mulberries.
There are, of course, dandelions, which you have to get really, really early before the flowers appear, otherwise they get bitter. You can put them in salads, you can steam them, you can saute them with onions and garlic. There's purslane, which grows along the ground, reddish stems, flat paddle-shaped leaves. We're going to have some in a salad later. One of the best sources of iron and omega-3 fatty acids. Wood sorrel, which will also be in the salad, 3 leaves. The leaves are heart-shaped. There is a chicken mushroom, huge mushroom, orange on top, either yellow or white underneath, grows on living or dead trees, looks like shelves, tiny holes, and it tastes like chicken. That's sometimes hard to find because it grows on the other side of the tree where you don't see it because it is chicken.
You know, I guess most people wonder, why should they bother? There's plenty of food available in their local supermarket. Why go into the backyard and pick food?
Well, the wild foods are much better tasting unless you spray in the backyards, and most parks are not sprayed. You're getting organic food. Our ancestors left out some of the best plants when they first started cultivating. You have more nutrition and you have better flavor, lots of access, and they taste great.
Okay, you took a group of people on a tour in Central Park recently. It's something you do all the time.
I do parks all over the greater New York area.
Yes, that's a good point.
And a lot of things with kids as well.
While we roll that tape, explain to us, why are people attracted to these tours, and what do you think they get out of them?
Well, they want to be closer to nature. They want to learn about renewable resources. We only collect plants that are extremely common, that they mow with the mowers and come right back up again. People want to get outdoors, and they also want to learn about the science behind the plants, the stories, folklore, and medicinal uses as well as food uses.
Okay, what kinds of tips should people keep in mind before they go out picking?
Identify everything with 100% certainty, or feed it to your boss first. Don't pick anything near heavy traffic.
Yeah. Because of
emissions, sure. And learn a few plants really well, follow them through the seasons, and then slowly add more. Go out with a naturalist like me, or get a book like my book or other books on the subject, and be absolutely sure of what you are picking. And bring kids along. Kids love learning about nature, and they need more access.
How did you get so interested in wild foods?
I was hungry, and I needed to feed myself. I started with a recipe on the side of an oatmeal box. I went on to cookbooks from the library. As I also got into holistic health and nutrition, I started exploring ethnic and health food stores. One day, riding my bicycle past Cunningham Park in Queens, there were traditional Greek women dressed in black picking what turned out to be grape leaves. I asked them what they were doing, could not understand a word. It was all Greek to me. But I came home with the grape leaves, stuffed them, and made my first wild food recipe. And then I just went on to teach myself over the years all the different edible herbs, greens, berries, nuts, seeds, roots, mushrooms, even seaweeds that we are blessed with in our region.
How do you think most people came to think of these things as useless weeds?
They just are not used to them. When people first started cultivating plants, a small number of them were brought into cultivation and others were left out. And then there's some things that were foods for the Native Americans or people in Asia that just never became part of mainstream American food, and they were left out too. And now we're getting more and more narrow with patented genetically engineered foods, so the selection is getting squeezed even more. It's time to go back to nature and see what our heritage as human beings on a green, beautiful planet really is.
Okay. I'd like to talk some more about that. When we return, we'll cook up a dish of food that's free for the picking, so please stay tuned. We're back with wild man Steve Brill, whose fascinating book on wild foods and medicinal herbs includes some recipes. So naturally, I thought we'd try a few. Steve, what are you going to cook up for us?
Okay, first we're going to make a salad. We're going to have some spicy poor man's pepper, some succulent purslane, some sweet-tasting daylilies, sour sheep sorrel and wood sorrel, and we're going to put some bolete mushrooms. This is actually the mushroom over here, and these are cooked, as well as lamb's quarters, which is a wild spinach.
Okay, let's toss them
and
up.
We just need to, well, we'll put everything on the cutting board, chop them up a little.
Now, when can you pick daylilies? Is there any time that they're tastiest?
When they are blooming, that's when you pick the flowers, which is late June and early July. And the shoots, the leaves of the daylilies are really good in the even in the beginning of March, sometimes the end of February. They are great.
Now, I notice you don't have any dandelion in this salad.
No, it's much too bitter in June.
Okay.
That would be something
actually,
I'd have in there earlier in the year.
Okay.
Okay, so let's give...
Much better when they first come up, right?
Yeah, yeah. There are different plants that come in and out of season from March right into December. And let's put in the
I bet you would
mushrooms.
argue that these plants are a more natural diet for us.
They are. This is what our ancestors evolved on, and they are way more nutritious than anything you can buy in the store. Spinach is supposed to have a lot of iron in it. The lamb's quarters in here has more iron, calcium, potassium, and vitamin A than spinach or anything that you've ever had in your life.
Now, aside from eating wild plants, many are also medicinal,
yes,
aren't they?
Yes.
But you don't seem to distinguish too much between what's medicinal and what's just good food.
No, because a lot of these plants are very mild medicinals. Mint to cure an upset stomach isn't the same as taking digitalis, where a little bit too much will kill you. Now, take a taste of that and tell me if
I
that's
have never
not
eaten
the
a
best
daylily
salad you've
before.
ever
This
had.
is my first.
So you have them probably in your garden. People brought them from China as an ornamental.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's a delicious salad. People brought them as an ornamental, and then they wound up saying, oh, this must be a show flower. And they're still very good. Of course, if you go into Chinatown and there are lilies in your food, you don't think anything of it.
Right.
But those are some of the things
That was
you have
wonderful.
in your
I
garden.
understand you also have an ice cream recipe for us.
Yes, yes. You put into a blender some silken tofu, lecithin granules, cashews, liquid stevia, and honey or vegetable glycerin or maple syrup as a sweetener, a little bit of vanilla, some canola oil, a dash of salt, and soy milk, and some wild blackberries. And then you get a totally vegetarian ice cream topped with the blackberries themselves. You would not know that this is not full of sugar, junk, and all kinds of other things that you don't want. Much, much healthier than the ice creams you buy in the store. Of course, once you mix that in a blender, you put it into an ice cream machine. And these will be in a cookbook that I'm working on.
Oh, good for you. Isn't that
It's probably
exciting?
the healthiest ice cream you've ever had in your life.
And it's delicious.
Wild blackberries. And the blackberries come from empty lots in East Rockaway. Every summer I go there.
Empty lots in East
Empty lots
Rockaway?
in East Rockaway. No one goes there for obvious reasons. If you've ever been there, it's just you and the blackberries.
Okay, no abandoned cars?
Nope. Now try some of these. These are other berries. This is a June berry. It's also called a service berry because religious services couldn't be held in the winter, and this blooms in April when all the services were held. And this is called a mulberry. These fall from the trees, and you can hear them falling.
These are wonderful in salads.
You hear, and the mulberries just fall down. I shake the tree and put a drop cloth under it.
Do you?
And of course, I take kids on walks a lot because kids need and love learning about nature. I even do birthday parties for the kids.
Oh, what fun. Tell me, how often do you eat these wild foods? These are part of your
Every
diet, aren't
day,
they?
yes, yes. I gather these as often as I can. They're incredibly delicious, as you've seen from trying these things. You can't buy most of them in the store. They're free, they're organic, and we've just lost touch with nature, which is one of the reasons we polluted the planet so badly. We've lost touch with nature, and we need to get back in touch with our environment right where we live. You don't have to go to the top of the Rocky Mountains or to the interior of the rainforest to have a closeness with nature. Nature is around us. We've just made it invisible to ourselves.
Steve, I'm afraid we've run out of time. Thanks so much for coming.
It's been a pleasure.
I'd like to thank naturalist and author Wildman Steve Brill. If you'd like to learn more about foraging for wild foods, you can get his schedule by calling 718-291-6825. Or you can pick up a copy of his book, Identifying and Harvesting Edible and Medicinal Plants in Wild and Not So Wild Places. That's published by William Morrow. Steve, thanks again.